everyone, welcome back to Happy Threads Girl. This is Wanda, and we are going to start part 2 of all my American Girl doll collection. There are 52 of them currently in my collection. I do want to again let you know that this channel is for adults who are fans of American Girl dolls or collectors. I do talk about some topics that are pretty heavy and probably not appropriate for children. So you've already been overwhelmed with a lot of other information in part 1, and if you haven't been overwhelmed, please go back and check that out. You can become overwhelmed with that information. So the collection did start in 2017 with one doll, and then it has grown into be something I could have never predicted. I cannot tell you how much I appreciate the love and support and community that I have received from being an adult collector. I've made so many good and dear friends through this hobby. It continues to inspire me and encourage me and to be creative, and I love that. And that I see so many of you out there being creative and sharing your passion and your knowledge of these dolls. How much fun is this? Like, gosh. So anyway, so thankful for your support and in all of this and your friendship. So sit back down, grab another beverage, maybe 2, because once again, it's a lot of information. I have a lot of dolls, and I talk a lot. Claire, who is Girl of the Year 2008, and she was part of that. I'm having a horrible day. I'm going to purchase something from Facebook Marketplace, and I got a doll that was in very bad shape. With her, what was wrong with her was she had an eye that was really wonky, and I just wasn't able to fix it. So she had to go to the doll hospital to have a new head. And I have not messed with her perfect braid since then. So I do love Mia. I like her little story, but haven't really done anything with Mia. And she is one of the dolls that she may be cut. I just don't know how she's going to fit into the grander scheme of the Happy Threads Girl world. So but I do think she's cute, and I do have a fair amount of her collection. Next up, we have Sage Copeland, and Sage was gifted to me from the family of a very, very dear friend who passed away in 2022. This friend is so special to me, and I miss her so much. And I feel so honored that her family had reached out after she had passed away and asked if there was a doll that I'd like to have from her collection. And I had asked for Sage because the last time I was able to spend time with that friend in person, we were back in Colorado, and we all had the Sage's hot air balloons, and we did a photo shoot that day in her backyard. She had a beautiful backyard, and we just spent that day together, and then I'd spent a few days with her after that. And it was such a dear, precious time to me that I got to spend with her. So definitely so honored that her family had asked about that. And I picked Sage because of the memory of that beautiful day, that wonderful photo shoot. So there's nothing that I would ever make me want to not have Sage part of my collection. And if there was a fire, she's definitely one of the dolls that I am going to be running to rescue. So Sage is special to me for that reason. So we have Isabel Palmer, who is Girl of the Year of 2014. But Isabel Palmer came to me in 2019 because I purchased her from the benefit sale in Madison, and I purchased her on Sunday. And so how it worked that year I was there was Saturday, the prices were higher, and then on Sunday they cut the prices, and throughout the day they cut the prices on a couple other dolls fairly steeply, and Isabel was one of those dolls. I remember there still were masses of Isabel dolls still there in 2019, and so we were walking by the table where they were selling the Isabel dolls, and I'm like, I just have got to see if there's just one that appeals to me. And then we opened up a couple boxes. I had some friends with me, and they were kind of looking at the Isabels too. And we just kind of all decided, like, yeah, we can all add an Isabel to our collection at that point in time. So I just will always keep Isabel for that reason. And I think she's very cute. And I definitely love the classic mold. It's largely throughout my collection. So, but like I said, Isabel will have a special place because of the fun memory from picking her out with a bunch of friends and us all going like, oh yeah, like for this price, we could all have Isabels in our collection. Grace Thomas, Girl of the Year 2015. I have some ambivalence about because I really, really originally wanted her part of my collection, but her prices were always sky high, and I'm conservative sometimes with what I spend on dolls. So this was just one of those ones where it was never, the price was never able, I was never able to justify the price of what they were asking for Grace Thomas. So I had made a decision 3 years ago that Grace was never going to be part of my collection. I was going to just stop searching that doll. I was just going to give up on it. I told myself that I didn't need the bakery. I mean, I still want the bakery, but I'm convinced myself. So anyway, so just recently in 2024, I saw a listing on Facebook Marketplace, kind of went back and forth with the seller. They were selling some other things I kind of wanted. And so we had reached a point where like, yes, we were going to make a deal. And so I said, hey, what about that? You said you had a Samantha, because she told me she had a Samantha doll that she was going to sell. I said, well, you know, what about that Samantha doll? And she said, oh yeah, I'll sell it to you. And so, so she bought everything over to get sold, but I ended up being a day where I couldn't make the exchange. So the happy helper went to make the exchange. So I get home later in the evening and I'm looking through what was bought back to me. And I'm like, this isn't a Samantha. This is a Grace Thomas. So I reached back to the seller and I'm like, hey, did you mean to sell me Grace Thomas? Because you said it was a Samantha doll. And she said, well, I gave your husband the Samantha doll. Okay, I now have a Grace Thomas doll. And in that, like I said, she sold me some other things and she seemed like she knew what she was saying too. Like it wasn't like I honestly just thought she was mistaken and had given the wrong doll. And that's kind of why I reached out. But there were other things in there. But there wasn't a meat outfit. But I had a meat outfit for Grace through other collections that I had come together. So I did have her complete meat outfit and randomly have Grace in my collection. So it's still kind of a new to my collection. So I don't, because I was so hard-hearted about her, I'm still trying to figure out if she's going to stay or if she'll be moving on. So that's my Grace story. Blair Wilson is Girl of the Year of 2019. It's so weird to think of that she was 2019. So anyway, in 2019, I did purchase Blair in January of 2019. We had, my spouse and I had went down to Dallas for a weekend and we had purchased Blair there. I believe she was a gift for Christmas because we waited to January to do my present because I knew I had wanted her, and and American Girl dolls are not inexpensive. And so he had said like, oh sure, we'll just make that your Christmas present. So I got Blair that year, and then I also got her kitchen and a few other Blair items. I do love Blair, but she also is one of those dolls that I could easily forget about being in my collection. So she's kind of also on that edge of like, will Blair stay or will Blair go? And it's been that way for a couple of years. So I probably should decide whether I want to let her go out of my collection or not. But anyway, so Blair is one of the 7 and part of my ambivalence of the Girl of the Year line. Next up, we have Joss Kendrick, and I got her in 2020, and that was another one of those trips where we went down to Dallas. She was my Christmas present for that January following. And then I do also have Joss's bus, so I feel like I have to keep Joss because I have her bus, and so there's that. But I love the story about some of the things that she has to overcome. I don't necessarily love the cheerleading aspect, and not that I have anything about cheerleading. I guess I struggle with the tie-in of the tie-ins of that. But it's cute, but it's just probably not my favorite Girl of the Year story in that way. And and Joss falls into that same category that Blair falls into, like easy to forget for me sometimes when I'm doing many other things. Okay, so next up is Girl of the Year Corinne Tan from 2022. And this is actually not the real Corinne Tan. This is the Just Like You doll that looks just like Corinne. And I wasn't a big fan of the blue hair. And also, this doll is a bittersweet doll for me because I did purchase her at the one and only release party I've ever been at. And my friend I have friends from Denver that drove out to where I'm living, and then we all drove down to Dallas together to go to this release party. But from the get-go, it was a disaster. So like food poisoning and hotel arrangements that didn't go correctly. And then we got down to Dallas, and it was New Year's Eve that we were down there for, and then the next day were more difficulties. And the release party was not well executed at the time, and it was just a struggle all along. And then, but the good part that came out of that was I met my very, very good friend, Instantly Isa, that day at that release party. So that is the one shiny part about that. But the kicker of this whole thing that I always find so funny is my friends are from Denver that drove all the way out to go to Dallas to go to this benefit sale, or not to the benefit sale, but to the release party. But the funny part about it is American Girl Doll did a release party in Aspen, Colorado. And had we known, I would have just went to Denver to be with them, and we all would have went up to Aspen. And that party was fabulous. I mean, the looks of it were gorgeous. But so we ended up with cold breakfast and food poisoning and in a horrible hotel. It just, But anyway, so I do have Corinne, and she's a Colorado girl, and I feel like spiritually I am from Colorado. So that is, Corinne's special for me in that way. So I don't see Corinne leaving my collection anytime soon, but I can be fickle on some of these Girl of the Year. We have a Truly Me #3, and her name is Chrissy Edmonds in my collection. She is a Facebook Marketplace find. She is a Pleasant Company doll. She is not in the best shape. She does need some more TLC from me, but I just wanted to make sure that I included her in this video because I think she is a sweet doll, and I can tell that from the shape that she came in, she was well loved and well played for, just not well cared for. So she definitely took some time before I could even bring her into the house because she did not smell very well. And I think she was sold to me by somebody who wasn't in the best place in their life when they chose to sell off their collection. But I'm pretty happy that I have her in my collection and plan to give her a new life here. And this is Truly Me #8, and this is Lisa Crawford in my collection. And she is very recent to me, and she was one of those dolls that I had showed some interest on eBay, didn't put a bid or anything in, but the seller came back with a phenomenal price, and so she's here now, and I think she's going to stay because I don't have any redheads with green eyes, and I like that combination, so I don't see her going anytime soon. And I like the fact that she has the nice chunky body. Next we have Truly Me #12, and this is Hope Holland. And poor Hope has had some unfortunate things happen to her. Looks like she has experienced some time in the hands of a puppy. So this is Hope. She is very, very new to me. She's my most recent doll, and she also was one of those dolls that she was part of a lot, and I wanted some of the other stuff in the lot. She was part of it. I did think she was cute, and I do like the blonde hair and brown eye combination, so I think she's just going to go to the doll hospital, and I think she's got a place in the Happy Hollows. And next up we have Ailish Frazier, and Ailish is the Truly Me 21, and she is from the benefit sale in 2019. And she was one of the dolls I purchased on the Saturday morning, and where it was a mad scramble. And so I kind of had to elbow my way in to be able to make sure I could get her. And then, of course, I had to go through lots of boxes to make sure that I had one that had the little pin curls, because that was important to me. And so she is one of those dolls that I can't imagine that I would ever need to part from my collection. So I definitely see that she has a bigger part in the Happy Threads world. So this is Truly Me, number 25, and she was gifted to me, and her name is Marta Dahl, and Marta came to me because she was gifted to me from the family of the friend that had passed away in 2022. And she is one of the dolls that I will be grabbing in the case of a fire. Marta is very special to me. Like I said, the family had reached out and asked if there were any dolls that we'd want out of the collection, and I had already been told I was getting Sage and was super thrilled about that. And then they were very generous with some other pieces that they gave to me because they felt like I would cherish them, and then I was able to purchase some things for phenomenal prices. So the family had been super generous to me. But this friend lived in Colorado, as I'd previously stated, and so the friends that were close to her, or close to the family, helped the family price things and sell things off. And so a couple of them were together one day, and they had said, oh, they'd ask about what doll I was getting. And so someone said, oh, but don't you think she wants Marta? Marta was Kiki's best friend. And so our friend, her Christian name, or her given name was something else, but we all called her Kiki. And then she had a doll that was her spirit doll, and she was also Kiki. And so so they said, well, do you think Wanda would want Marta, because Marta was Kiki's best friend? And so they called me and said, do you want Marta? And I said, well, yeah, I would love to have Marta. And because she looks like my friend did so much. And so Marta is so special to me, and I can't imagine, I just can't imagine my collection without her. And I'm so honored to have her part of my little Happy Hallows world. This is Truly Me, number 44, and her name is Rachel Greenberg in my doll world. And so Rachel was also purchased in 2019 at the Madison Children's Museum benefit sale. So she was purchased on a Saturday, and because she is such a cute doll, I think she was another one of those ones that there weren't a lot of her, and so I was in it to get her. So it was definitely, if you've ever seen those movies where you see people like where they're at Christmas Day and everybody's just diving in, and mass people and chaos and people throwing things back to each other to get things, that was definitely my experience that year at the benefit sale in 2019. That luckily I went with a group of friends, and we were all kind of working together to help each other get all the things that we all wanted. But it was mayhem in there, it's particularly at the very early section of that sale, and we were in there at the very first ticket time that you could go in, and I believe that was like, I want to say it was like 6 in the morning. It might have been 7, but it was very early and in a very crowded area. So so that is how Rachel Greenberg came to live with me. Next, we have Truly Me 54, and this is May Lee in my collection, and she was also purchased at that 2019 benefit sale. So she was purchased on the Sunday, I believe, and where the dolls were more discounted. So fun fact about her, she is the only doll in my collection that has the perma panties, and I do kind of like the fact that I have just that one odd part about her. And she is the thinnest doll I own, and so I don't tend to lean one way or the other for body types. Like, I like some dolls when they have the thicker bodies, I like some dolls when they have the thinner bodies, but I will say she is definitely the thinnest of all of the dolls that I own. This is Truly Me 54. No, I lied. This is Truly Me 58. And this is Jordy Jefferson in my collection. And she was purchased in 2018 at the Toys R Us closeout sale. And so when I found out, because I didn't even know until this point that they had sold American Girl dolls, that they were going out of business and they were selling them at discounted prices. And so I hurriedly went over there, only to find that there was hardly any dolls left. By the time I hit the Toys R Us by me, there was nothing there. And so I was able to get her. Her hair has never been in the best shape. I am trying to fix it, so I feel like I'm making progress, but she may be on her way to the doll hospital. But she is super cute to me, and I do kind of love her. And The one fun fact about her is my son named her because he loves sci-fi, and so Star Trek is one of his favorite shows. And so she became Geordi because he just thought that Geordi was the greatest character of all time. So she is Geordi Jefferson. Next we have Truly Me number 60, and this is Charlotte Cambridge in my collection. And fun fact about her is she's the first doll I purchased online for myself, and I purchased her in April in 2019. In 2018, sorry. So I purchased her in April of 2018. And so she arrived on the day that Prince Louis was born. And so it was the first time in English history that a male prince did not supersede his sister in succession. And so I named her Charlotte Cambridge in honor of the little princess that would be able to hold her place in the line of succession for the British royal throne. So this is my little homage to Charlotte, and I think Charlotte is probably one of my cutest dolls, and I am always, one of my favorite like hair eye combinations is very dark hair with blue eyes. So I think that's always really cute when you see that. This is Truly Me 65, and her name is Laura Jamerson, and she has just recently come to live in my collection. And my friend, I bought her from a friend, and my friend had purchased her through a thrift store, and then is going through some valuation of her own collection right now. So this is Laura Jameson, which is, her name was written Laura in marker on her arm. So I kind of felt like I needed to keep her name as Laura since she was tattooed in Sharpie marker. I'm trying to get all the marks off her. I think I've got most of them off her face. I'm not quite sure, but if not, she will be being sent to the doll hospital at this point because I've done all I can do for her on that part. And there are definitely marks on her body that aren't visible right now, but so she needs to go for that reason. So she's definitely on her way to see the doctor. Okay, so this is Truly Me. I'm so sorry, I have to look at the number here. So this is Truly Me 77, and this is Dwayne Neal, and he was actually named by my friend Instalista. She was at my house one day, and he was still unnamed, and she said, well, his name is definitely Dwayne, and I was like, well, of course his name is Dwayne. So, and then Neal is another homage to her in that way. So, so this is Dwayne Neal, and he is super special because Instalisa named him. This is Truly Me 75. So this is Truly Me 75, and this is Dave Lee. He was purchased at the Dallas store at the same time that I purchased Blair. So he's very cute and super lovable, and he's special to me because he is one of those dolls that I love to take anywhere because he's easy to travel with. He's low maintenance. This is Truly Me 74. Sorry, I lost my place in looking on the list. So this is Truly Me 74. His name is Christopher Ian Miles. He represents some people in my life that I've lost and regret. They passed on, and so I just wanted to make sure that those names kind of stayed special. And so Christopher Ian Miles lives within my collection to honor them. This is Truly Me 80, and this is Dion Madison in my collection. And Dion was purchased at the benefit sale in 2019, and she was purchased on that Saturday in the Mayhem. And in that Mayhem, there was some confusion about whether somebody else wanted her or not, and so I ended up with her, and then I was going to sell her off to somebody else, and somebody else said no, and it was confusion. So by the time that I had gotten back to my sister's homes on that Sunday evening, and I was unpacking them, I wasn't really sure if I was keeping her or not, just because I kind of had thought there was somebody else who had wanted her, and so I was thinking I was going to sell her, as I did with a few of those dolls that were purchased at that time. So my oldest sister was looking through the dolls and said, oh, what's her name? And I said, well, she doesn't have a name. And she goes, well, I think her name should be Dion. Well, once my sister named her, I couldn't unname her and give her away or sell her to somebody else. She had a name. She was Dion Madison. So that is how Dion Madison came to my collection. So this is Brinley Knight, and she is a Truly Me 88. And I had mentioned that I'm not I'm not a big fan of the colored hair dolls. And so, but she was a gift to me in 2020. And 2020 was the most difficult year of my entire life. So many things went on, and not COVID. I mean, COVID didn't help any of the things that were going on, but there was a lot going on in my family and a lot for me personally to absorb. And so in that, as we kind of were coming through the fall, my spouse purchased her for me as a gift to kind of just tell me we were going to get through it all. And I named her Brinley Night because Brinley means burnt field and night is night. And it just kind of is like, it is the darkest, when it's all been burnt down and it's night, we have the dawn to look forward to, and there will be a new day. And so that's just that reminder of that we can come from good place. Good things can come from very dark places. So that's Brinley Night. This is Truly Me 106, and she has been recently purchased from my local friend who lives close by, and she is, like I said, she's reevaluating her collection, and she had mentioned that she didn't think she had room in her collection for this doll anymore, and she's on my wish list of Truly Me. So I was like, well, I'll buy her, and I got a great deal for her. So because my friend is generous and sweet with me. So this is Sarah Titus in my collection, and she looks just like a little girl that my children was friends with through their childhood. And I hope, Sarah Titus, wherever you are in the world, that you are having a wonderful life, and you were such a sweet kid, and I have so many fond memories of you. And so this is my little Sarah Titus here. So she is very sweet and just like the real life Sarah Titus. And this brings us to Truly Me 115, and her name is Ryland Stevenson, and she is named by my future son-in-law. She was here one day, or she was in the box here one day when he was visiting, and he said, "What's that doll's name?" And I said, "Well, she doesn't have a name yet." And he said, "Well, she looks like a Ryland to me." And I didn't have a name. I had really just purchased her because I loved her hair and the Marie Grace face mold and the eye color. And so I hadn't had a name picked out, but so he named her Ryland. And then I added the Stevenson in there because after he and I had talked about her name being Ryland, I kind of had thought like, oh, I think I wanted to name her Stevie. And so I thought, well, that works because she is so cool that all of her friends call her Stevie, because she's that girl that's so cool that Ryland Stevenson, we call her Stevie. And that brings us to Truly Me 122, and this is Sherry Perez. And so Sherry has just been recent to my collection. She came to me as a Christmas present in 2024, and so the Happy Helper purchased her. I had originally tried to purchase her a couple months prior. I'd been down at an event in Dallas and with some friends, and I had wanted her at that time, but they didn't have her. And so I was like, oh, okay. And so when I came home, I was talking to my spouse, and he said, oh, you didn't get really anything. And I said, no, the doll I wanted, they didn't have. And so he's like, which doll is that? And I showed it to him. He goes, oh my goodness, that looks like a childhood friend that we had. So he and I grew up in the same small town and knew this girl, and or a girl that looked just like her. And so I didn't name her the same name, but a similar inspired name. So this is Sherry Perez, because that was a name very similar to the little girl that we both knew growing up. And so so that finishes out all the Truly Me's. Okay, so that wraps up all of my 52 dolls. I have shared a lot of information with you. I would hope that maybe you could take a little bit more of your time today, because you already spent a lot of time with me today, but maybe you could take a little bit more time and throw a comment in there. If you could do a like and subscribe, that'd be great too. I am blown away by the support that I've received already with this channel. Could not even think that there's more than one person out there watching this channel. So I am just so excited to see that just in a very short time, I'm already getting a couple more subscribers, and I'm getting some people watching the videos, and it's encouraging me to continue to make them. I do promise that I'm going to keep trying to strive to do better with these, and part of that is going to be some other information that I'm going to share in my next video probably. well, in a future video, I'm gonna be sharing about what's going on in my life, and maybe a little bit why the channel had stalled out for a little bit. But there's definitely a trajectory to make sure that it is in a different path, and some very exciting things for myself. So anyway, once again, thank you so much for stopping by, and I hope you find some time to be kind to yourself and to have some creativity in your day. Bye.